Alright everybody, I'm back and this time I'm just making a voiceover from my French video because somebody requested it in the comments, and it's true that I completely sort of forget that I have also had English people coming to the channel because I used to do some content in English back in the day. And this video is pretty much to show you all the pieces of jewelry I've made throughout the years, to show you my jewelry journey. And I do it also not only for people that want to learn jewelry and that maybe are beginning, but also for anyone who would want to learn a new skill, and to show you that it's completely possible to improve gradually. As I often mentioned, but I'm going to mention it again if you just come across this video and you don't know anything about me, I'm mostly self-taught in jewelry, and I started in 2015, really the beginning, barely knowing anything about it. I enrolled in the same year in a jewelry course, to get immersed in jewelry making, but it was pretty surface level. You can't learn everything in a week of intensive course, but it got me going with the basics so that I could then experiment on my own. I can say straight off the bat that if you're serious about jewelry making and you really want to make a career out of it, I would highly recommend to enroll in a proper jewelry sort of course on 1 year or 2 year to get a certificate or to get graduated with it, because nothing will be as valuable as teachers and people giving you the right techniques straight away. Back in the day, when I look back at my own journey, I don't regret anything. Now, if I had a bit of time on my hand, I would probably do it just for the sake of it, just for the fun, just to be like, I can hang the little diploma, you know, on top of my desk, because there's stuff I've learned and it took me much longer to learn the skills. But yeah, it depends on what you want to do with it. This is the first piece I've made, and it was made in brass. It was one of the first things I've ever done. I wanted to learn how to saw and use a saw frame to saw the metal, so I thought that that could be the perfect project. Because I was scared of using a blowtorch, I used the riveting technique to stick the metal together without having to solder it. And I tried to texture it because also I wanted to experiment with the various techniques that were available for me at that time. I was in my hip-hop era back in 2015, like full speed, full blown. So Nate Dogg obviously passed away, I think, before that, I believe. And I wanted to make a sort of memory because it's one of my favorite rappers of all time. And you know, the gold with the sort of, obviously it's a bit tarnished because I haven't worn it, but if it was polished properly, it would be like bright gold. And I thought that this fit really with the kind of rapper vibe, and using gold instead of silver, because I thought that it was too early on to start using precious metals and it would have been a waste of money. In the same vein, we have this really full finger ring. This was inspired after I watched the Spike Lee movie Do the Right Thing. I was really into that whole kind of culture, you know, hip-hop culture, and one of the rappers in it that plays in it has 2 double full finger rings. I don't remember whose art it is, but I like him too, but I forgot his name as I'm recording again. Rapper, super famous, I'm gonna treat you or love you right. Anyway, I don't remember his name, but yeah. So that was one of the first thing I did, also brass and aluminium. This piece is something I'm actually proud of because it was another step for me. First, it was the time I launched my first brand that shall remain nameless, obviously, but you can probably read. And this was also brass, still riveting technique, which is pretty much squishing pieces of metals together to make it hold together. And it was at the time at which I was started to get interested into Native American culture and spirituality. And so I got inspired by that to do the Wheel of Metzine with the carnelian stone that can actually rotate within the pendant. The next thing I did was a brass again bracelet inspired by ancient Rome and jewels, and it's pretty much very simple, only wire wrapping, and thank God I tried the techniques as I went along, because that's when I made that I realized that wire wrapping was absolutely not my cup of tea. So it's as you experiment also that you learn what you like and what you don't like. That was the first kind of era, and then here is the pendant, the project I made for my first jewelry course, the 1-week intensive course. It was a bit ambitious. First time I used the blowtorch with a teacher and used sterling silver, I was so ambitious that I also wanted to add the claw, which is a fox claw, I believe, that I got somewhere on eBay or something. Once again, very Native American vibe. I feel that the hammering and the stamping on it ruins it. I shouldn't have like added that, but once again, I was experimenting, and I didn't, truth to be told, I didn't really like my course with the person that was making it, because I didn't really like the teacher, and I'm the type of person, if I don't like you and I don't like your work, I cannot do a good job. I will learn, but it wasn't a good experience for me. And that's also the reason why I didn't want to enroll in any other jewelry courses, which is a bit stupid looking back, but it's like, if I don't like you, I don't like your vibe, I'm not going to like working with you and doing, you know, the thing that I have to do with you. So this is still in the sort of period where I was wanting to do movie inspired jewels. This is inspired by the movie The Crawl with Brandon Lee. Once again, brass, my first start with, I bought my blowtorch and I started using silver and wanting to start setting cabochons. So I made this mixed metal thing with a moonstone because it was pretty affordable. It's textured everything, handmade completely. And so, yeah, it was for me the first sort of finished piece I made using the soldering techniques that most jewelers use. This was another awful, but I kept it for the memory, pendant, where I really started to get into wanting to learn how to solder. You see how the silver solder like melted everywhere, which is not supposed to be that way, by the way. If you don't know jewelry, it's supposed to be super discreet, and you, like, if there's blob of soldering, you missed. You didn't do the job properly. But that was one piece that I started, like, when I started, so I kept it. First sort of ring I've made with silver solder, so you can kind of see it once again on the brass because it doesn't have the same color and I've put too much of it. But if you're good, normally you can use silver solder for brass and nobody will see it. This was later on, because that was setting smaller faceted stones. That was my Erykah Badu kind of era, where I was still in hip-hop and soul, and I wanted to do very big jewels because she's always wearing super big, eccentric and extravagant jewelry, and I wanted to do a piece that made me feel like, you know, sacred feminine and all that, this sort of spirituality and esotericism. I was trying to get into the new age spirituality by then, so it made sense to make jewelry that was inspired by what I was absorbing as of knowledge and stuff and information. That was first ring that I made full silver with 2 pendants that I bent, feather pendants that I bent to solder them. Then there was this, so this is it means a lot to me, but I don't wear it anymore. That was my Johnny Depp kind of Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. This is actually a nacre, like a real kind of thing. I don't know how you say nacre, actually. It's a shell that has been polished and comes from Polynesia, because I grew up a part of my life in Tahiti, so I'm an island girl, and this meant a lot to me. I was wearing it all the time back in like 2016, 2017, but now I don't wear it. It's a memory. This is my full finger ring that I tried while I was melting silver and trying to make textured silver. So you melt the silver, you put something on it, squish it, and it makes this sort of uneven piece of metal that you can then bend. And I wanted to make something a bit original, so that was one of the pieces I created while recycling silver. All the scraps of silver I had went into that. That was another sort of like, you know, achievement, because it was the time where I started to actually set stones, like properly try to set stones this way. And because I wanted to learn, I made a lot of it, like bracelet, rings. It was all about setting stones and learning as much as I could with a lot of pieces. Those are available on my website, by the way. I'm selling some of my archives on my website. The link will be down below. And this is also the Native American trying also to reticulate silver. This is the wanting to learn to set bigger stones. I didn't really like it, so I stopped using those raw stones because the settings, the cloth settings, was not my cup of tea. This is an opal. I wanted to work with opal, so Boulder opal seemed like a safe choice because it's a bit kind of sturdier than the small opal we can see on the market that are so fragile. This was me trying to hammer and stamp things. This was the Native American part too, trying to use the sand casting method using bronze and silver. So pretty much pouring the metal straight away into a sand sort of box where you have the mold and trying to come out with something good. Sand casting method too. No, I believe this is the first thing I tried to send to the casting business with wax, trying to use wax, I believe, and setting a massive stone. This is bronze and silver, available online if you want it. I was really happy because it was the first time I was using super big stones like that. This is my entire era. It's on this thing because I actually wear those. Those are part of my personal collection. Silver, massive, chunky, rock and roll, very raw and untouched. Most of them were made by, I think, casting. Yeah, this one is casting, like wax casting. And those are just sand casting, so more natural and organic in the vibe they're made. This is the big piece while I was inspired by Enter the Dragon, the movie by Bruce Lee. It's a massive emerald that obviously has been dyed. It's not very good quality, but I love the fact that it was chunky as hell and that, you know, you can have the claw of the dragon holding the emerald. I like the idea, so this was a piece that's not my cup of tea in all honesty, but somebody had like generously, kindly gifted me. This is glass that has been soufflé, and it's created by an artist that I cannot remember because it's her mother that actually sent me some of his cabochons. I think she wanted to do a sort of collab with me, but the type of stuff her son was making was not the stuff I was going to be selling, so I keep it as a memory, but I'll never wear this thing, honestly. This is one of my favorite pieces. I still keep it to this day. Made it around Halloween probably. I wasn't, as you can see, I was a very happy person back in the day, and so I bought this obsidian carved piece and made it in silver, added a little note at the back, and I still wear it because I love the chunky aspect of it, and I like the symbolism, you know, it's death and rebirth, protection, connection to the ancestors. I think it's important to nourish that. This was me trying to also start working with pearls. I told you, island girl, I love pearls, so that was me trying to make big pieces. This is inspired by the movie The Fifth Element by Luc Besson. I love this movie. It's very kind of, you know, the vibe bi-metal, like silver and bronze, and super chunky. This was also inspired by another movie, Coco, the Pixar movie, I believe. Once again, trying to set stones in a more delicate and more professional manner, if I dare to say so. It was set also with little stones on the side of it. What else was I wanting to show you here? Yeah, plain, more simple bracelet that are in sterling silver. Now that was something I made also, and that I love because it's simple, very elegant and timeless. I sell them on my website too now. This is projects I'm still working on because turquoise is still very dear to my heart, and Native American jewelry is, I feel, one of the most beautiful jewels in the world, you know. This is the wax stuff I'm working on, bracelets that have to be sent to the casting business. I fully started working with casting this year only, so this is pretty recent for me, and I'm having a blast. I prefer that to actual traditional jewelry making. And I would say that the piece also that has kind of also helped me to close a chapter, and yeah, that's what I wanted to take it out to show it to you. It was like the end of an era as a jewelry designer and the beginning of a new era when I really started to get into wax carving and setting stones and wanting to use other methods of producing my jewelry, my jewels. This is a prototype, so obviously it's brass because I wanted to see what it would look like. I have the other one that has to be casted. I don't really want to show it too much because it's not done. And I would say that that was the turning point for me. I will make a video about that because it was a massive fail for me. And at the same time, it was one of the best fails in my life because I wanted to learn how to cast with a new machine, a new tool I had. I made a massacre. I made a disaster, but it turned out that this piece is one that is very dear to me. I have to send it to the casting place too, because it allowed me to learn that you can screw it up but still make it beautiful. Like, the failure is not fatal, you know, and definitive. And this was really, for me, the beginning of a new era, of a new way to wanting to create jewelry. And so I'll probably have more time to talk about it in the future with like a proper episode about it. So yeah, I think I went over all the things I made. Obviously, I made more stuff. I sold more stuff. This was the first thing. I think this is the one that was the most important in my sort of jewelry career, and those three. And yeah, I hope that all this was helpful to you, maybe for the people that want to learn the craft. And you're never done learning, to be honest, but it's all about how you want to do it. What's your goal? You know, if it's just a hobby, or you want to get professional, or you want maybe to hire someone to do it for you, because you can be great at imagining ideas and have a jeweler that works for you, that you can hire, that can do the job. I've learned there are multiple ways to go around creating jewelry. You just have to find your own, you know, the one that's right for you. So I hope that was out of service. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you around for other videos. I don't know if I'll do them in English, but if you want me to, I can do some in English, no problem. Well, I wish you the best. Have a great day, and I'll see you around.